and just feeling into that peace and stillness around you. With just that movement of the breath in and out. And if the mind has wandered, then just gently bringing the attention back to the breath. Nothing else to do. Okay, and now slowly start to bring yourself back. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes, come back to the room. That's better. All right, thank you very much. That was, yeah, that was peaceful. Hope you all found that peace as well. So now we can move into some questions or suggestions. As I said before we started this webinar, what it was about was the group meditation and then a Q&A. So if you guys have got any questions about anything, really, or suggestions for things that you think that we at Planet Kambo can do for you during this time, then please speak up. Any and all suggestions are welcome. So if you would like to speak, then if you go into the chat, there's an option to raise your hand, and then I can see that. I can see who's raising their hand, and then that person can unmute themselves and then speak. Nigel, okay. You're unmuted. Nigel, where are you?
Hiya, here.
Nigel?
Right. My question is regarding, in one of your videos, you said it's possible to microdose Kambo. My partner, she is 79 and disabled and suffers from COPD. She's got a diabolical immune system, and I would like her to be able to try Kambo. But because of the way she is, I don't know whether it'd ever be possible. What's your sort of opinions on whether it be possible, and if so, how to go about it? You know, can she be microdosed?
I think with a microdose, the person wouldn't go through the whole process. So you would only get the initial effects, and there wouldn't be a purge. So yeah, if you give somebody one very, very small point, then have you done Kambo yourself, Nigel?
Yeah, only once. I've done Bufo 4 times and Kambo once.
Okay, so yeah, you know when Kambo starts to come on, you get the feeling of the flushing of the blood and the heat. That's what you'll get from a microdose, and it will be that feeling, and then that will die down after sort of 20 minutes, half an hour. So I think it is possible, but what's the condition did you say that she has?
She has a very, very bad immune system.
Yeah.
And she also has COPD. The trouble with her immune system is the fact that she keeps getting chest infections and water infections. And I'd like to be able to build up her immune system, but because of the state she's in, I don't think she would be a good candidate for a full-blown session.
Yeah. And then I think microdosing, it would definitely be a way to start and to test the water, as long as ultimately with Kambo, the main sort of contraindications is to do with the heart. So as long as if her heart was to start racing, as long as that would be safe for her, that would be okay, then I think it would be okay. But obviously, you might want to double check it with a doctor.
Yeah, she's got no heart problems. So yeah, I'll look into that then.
Yeah, but I
Thanks
definitely.
very much.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I'd say definitely, because obviously, said she's 79. Did you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, I as much as like a lot of doctors probably won't even know what Kambo is. Some do, but I definitely think it would be worth having a chat with the doctor before doing it. But
Okay.
then I think, I don't see why not. That would probably be the right way to start. Would be a microdose, and just to see how she gets on with that.
Right. Thank you.
No worries, and you can always drop us an email if you want to talk about this more.
Yeah. Thank you.
No worries. Okay.
As I say, I've only done it once, so I'm a bit new to it. So I'm hoping I can pick up some good information off you guys tonight.
Sure. Okay. Cool. Right. I'm gonna remute you, and then if you can lower your hand. And Natalie.
How do I unmute?
I unmuted you already.
Yeah. Quickly, just a follow on to what I can't remember what you just said. The name. Who just spoke?
Sorry.
Who just spoke a minute ago?
Nigel.
What was it? Nigel. A quick follow on to what you said. Quickly, that mullein is really good for the lungs and the chest. So drinking mullein leaves or getting some kind of mullein, that will be really good at detoxifying her chest as it is, and that will help strengthen your wife's lungs and chest. But I do have a question for you, John.
Go for it.
I was wondering if there was possibly we could set up some kind of interactive kind of Kambo sessions where we could be on the other side of the screen, especially people that has done Kambo before, to do self-applications or even just microdosing, and sending the Kambo to them so they still can have Kambo experience at this time.
Yes, we've considered that. The only thing is, I mean, it depends on the person, like if how experienced they are with it. But it's something we considered, but if they're on their own, doing Kambo unsupervised when you're not experienced with it, possibly, could be maybe. I mean, in my experience, Kambo is very safe, even though it appears to the untrained eye, it looks to be this dangerous thing. It's really not. Kambo is, having worked with it for a while now, it is very, very safe. But having said that, there's still a responsibility for the person at the other end of the screen, and doing unsupervised Kambo sessions, even though it is kind of supervised, where you have a practitioner there. But if that person has never self-applied before, I don't know. Yeah, it's something we're thinking about, but it would need a lot of thought and planning to do it properly. Oh, Natalie's frozen. Natalie?
Could we?
Oh, you're back. Hello, Natalie?
Could we do like microdose meditations where we just
possibly?
Oh, hello.
Yeah, I can hear you, Natalie.
Great. Yes.
Natalie.
Yeah. Could we do like microdose meditations where we?
Oh.
Hear me?
Oh, you're coming in and out. Natalie. Okay, Natalie's gone. I think she's got cut off. All right, so
I'm back.
You're back. Yeah.
Yeah, so could we do like microdose meditations where we have just a small microdose and sit in meditation with the fog like that, where it's a bit more safer?
Yeah, it's something we could do maybe. Yeah. it's just that when people if they haven't self-applied before, you know, they're going to be like burning themselves, and it's yeah. I don't know. It needs to be thought out. But we considered it something like that. I think if we're going to do it, I think then a microdose meditation would be something we could possibly do. But I think I'd only want to do it with people that have done Kambo before. Yeah, it would have to be people that have done Kambo before. But yeah, worth thinking about. Thank you. All right, who's next?
Welcome.
Thanks, Natalie. Right, Michael, unmute you.
Hi.
Michael.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello.
Go for it.
Okay, I've got 2 questions.
Yeah.
The first question is around Nigel brought up the whole microdosing thing. I haven't really done microdosing with it. And I was just wondering, because normally every single time I've done Kambo, it's made me purge, and I've heard about different people with different explanations about whether it's a toxin or whether it isn't. So I'm wondering, what's the effect of, because I thought when you purge, you get the Kambo out of your system. How does microdosing work in that sense with the Kambo?
Okay. So firstly, when you take Kambo through the skin, it's not poison, and your body's not getting rid of the Kambo when you purge. That's actually not what's happening.
Okay.
So you've not been poisoned. This is a common misconception, even though that's what it looks like. That's not actually what happens. I'll just explain how Kambo works. So in the Kambo, you have peptides and neuropeptides that are like signaling. They're proteins, but they're like signaling molecules. And in your brain, you have receptors. So receptors in the brain, peptides in the Kambo. When you take the Kambo, it goes through your lymphatic system. Only the peptides enter the body. So Kambo is not a poison when it enters the body that way. If you eat it, then it's poisonous. But when it goes through the skin, only the peptides enter the body.
Okay.
And they go to the brain. In the brain, you've got your receptors and you've got your peptides, and they fit together like locks. So Kambo essentially unlocks those receptors in the brain.
Okay.
And Kambo is just a messenger. So the process that you go through with Kambo, it's actually the brain that's doing it, not Kambo. So what Kambo is essentially is it's the flu. That's what it's doing. When you have the flu, it's not the flu that gives you the symptoms. The symptoms are your immune system acting to heal. So with the flu, you get a fever, you might vomit, you might get diarrhea, depending on if it's flu or a stomach bug. So what Kambo does is it just goes to the brain and says, right, do all of your healing processes now. And they all happen at the same time. So it's not you've been poisoned and your body's trying to expel poison. It's actually your body just doing all of its natural healing processes, and the Kambo is just a messenger, and it just says, right, do all of them now. So when you do a microdose, all you get is you just get the initial feelings, the initial part of the Kambo process, which is just the blood vessels opening and all the heart beating faster and the blood rushing around. It's not enough to provoke the sort of the purge, the cleansing. But it's not like you take poison into your body and then the poison is left in your body. I think that's kind of what you were getting at.
Yeah, because I was just listening to a talk by a woman who was a Sangoma, and she explained it totally differently as to how it works and everything. So that's why I kind of had this conception.
Okay, what is it? A video?
It's a woman on SoundCloud. I actually know her from South Africa, and she goes around serving medicine and stuff.
Okay.
And she was an initiated Sangoma, and she had this explanation that it was like a poison, and your body reacted to the poison. And
it's not. I mean, that's not the way I was taught. That's
okay. No.
Because if you look, you can find this out yourself. I mean, you can find it out on our website, or you can just Google it. If you see what's in Kambo, you see peptides and neuropeptides, and you look at each peptide and neuropeptide, and it explains what each one does, and then you see how it works. That actually those are the things that are making the process happen. it's not you've taken a load of poison in and the body's getting rid of the poison. So yeah, in that respect, it's completely different to how most people think. What you said, that you're taking poison and then the body needs to clear out the poison, but it's not. It just triggers this healing process in the body, and it is like the flu for 20 minutes. That's really what it is. It's like the flu and food poisoning at the same time for 20 minutes.
Lovely.
Yeah, that's kind of how it feels.
Okay, now I've got another question.
Yeah.
The second question is, I've seen people faint quite a few times on Kambo,
Yeah.
and I was wondering if you could explain what's going on there and what the fainting process is about, and is it dangerous or not, and how does one handle that sort of situation?
Yeah. So with fainting, it can be two things. One is Kambo will lower your blood pressure. So the peptides phyloserine and sovigine, those peptides will lower your blood pressure, and that in of itself can make people faint. Also, those peptides, they act on the pituitary gland, which is the master gland, and then that will affect all of the other glands. And what can happen is Kambo sort of recharges the adrenal glands. And when that recharging of the adrenal glands is happening, you can get very sleepy on Kambo. And sometimes people just pass out, and other times they go really, really sleepy where they haven't fainted, they're still awake, but they're almost like half asleep. And when that's happening, the body's recharging. It's like recharging your batteries. But it's not dangerous, and actually it can be beneficial when it happens. It usually only happens when it's somebody's first time or the first few times they've done it. Once you've done Kambo a few times, then fainting is very unlikely. I mean, it still can happen, but it's unlikely. So for that, when it's that reason, it's not dangerous, even though it can be scary when it happens. Like if you're facilitating, and I know this happened to me when I first started facilitating, when somebody fainted, I panicked. But I've seen it so many times now that there's nothing to worry about. All you need to do is just make sure the person is comfortable, that make sure they're breathing. And usually what we'll do is just go. You can tell when someone's going to faint. You can see them start to go. You just go and sit next to them, and I hold them, and I make sure that they're breathing, and then they'll usually come back within 20 seconds, 30 seconds. They usually start snoring, and often people have a dream while they're passed out. It's almost like they go into sleep. And yeah, I leave the Kambo on. I don't take it off.
Okay.
If there's ever any doubt, like if for any reason I thought this was something was unsafe, I would take the Kambo off. But 99 times out of 100, I leave the Kambo on, and I let them have their little, fainting episode, and they come back and they carry on and they're fine. So that's fainting in one respect. But if somebody faints repeatedly in the process, if that was I've never seen it, but if it was to happen, that's a bit different, because then that's possibly to do with low electrolytes, especially sodium in the body, and that can be dangerous. So if somebody fainted more than once, then I would take the Kambo off and I would give them salt water.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah. Because what you mustn't do is then just give them more water, plain water, because that's going to dilute their electrolytes even more. So if that happens, it's never happened, touch wood, but if it did happen, then salt water would be the thing to do. And I would definitely, if somebody faints twice, the second time I'd take it off, but I've never seen it happen before. And usually that would only happen if the person drank way too much water, which I make sure that they don't do.
So what do you recommend? What do you recommend for water? Like 2 liters, or?
You don't even need 2 liters. 1 liter is enough. 1 to 1.5 is enough. If you're doing, there's a couple of different ways to do Kambo. There's the Kambo style, which is I'm sure the way you've done it, where you drink the water first, then you put the Kambo on, then you go through the process with all that water inside you. And there's
Yeah.
another way, which is how we do things at Planet Kambo, which is another way I discovered recently they call it Sapo, and it's how the Peruvian tribes do it. And when you do it this way, you don't drink the water before you put the Kambo on. You put the Kambo on dry, so no water, and you only drink the water when you're ready to purge. And actually it makes the whole process so much easier and so much smoother, and it's really nowhere near as bad. And when you do it Sapo style, you only need to drink enough to purge, and you drink the water and it comes straight back up, so it's not being absorbed. When you do it Kambo style, if you drink, say you were to drink, I don't know, 4 liters of water, which I would not recommend, that would be dangerous. But if you did, a lot of that water is going to get absorbed into the body, and that can dilute your electrolytes. And that's when there can be problems. So if you're going to do it Kambo style, I would say no more than 1.5 liters maximum, but 1 liter is fine. And then when you start purging, then drink more. If you do it Sapo style, that the medicine goes on, you wait until you start to feel really, really sick, then you start drinking your water. Then usually you'll drink maybe 0.5 liter to 3/4 liter, and then you'll purge. And then you drink more and you purge, and you drink more and you purge, and you just keep drinking and purging that way. So you don't overload yourself with water. And having done it both ways, I personally would only do it Sapo now. I would never do it Kambo style on myself.
Okay, cool.
It's just, to me, Sapo is so much better, so much softer, and a more gentle way to do it. And if anything, having all that water inside you, for me, it feels forced, and it kind of it muffles it a bit. Whereas when you do it dry, you really feel the Kambo in a different way, and it comes on more gently, much more gently, which is kind of how I feel like the spirit of the frog. Whereas when you do it Kambo style, it's just like a hammer blow. It just comes on really, really strong, and you go through this process, and obviously there's a purge. With the Sapo, it's much more like a whole body meditation.
Okay.
Much more gentle.
All right, cool. Yeah, that answers the question. So basically you're saying it can either be low blood pressure, the pituitary gland, or low electrolytes, and low electrolytes is the blood pressure is when there's the issues. It's the too much water and low salt is dangerous. But if it's just they just faint because they're going through this recharging process, then actually it's better to let it happen. Okay, cool. And then how you just see that through? Do you screen people before the time for the low blood pressure?
Yeah, usually, if somebody, a lot of people have got low blood pressure, and like mild low blood pressure is not an issue. If someone says they've got low blood pressure, or they might tell me they're prone to fainting, then that would be possibly, we might want to, when we apply the Kambo, we do it progressively, whereas rather than giving them all the points in one go, we would apply the points gradually.
Okay.
And that can help to stop fainting, because then it comes on even. We could do it Sapo and go gradually, and that would be the process would be even more gradual. And we always tell people to drink electrolyte drink before Kambo anyway. So that's to sort of just in case someone did have low electrolytes, then if they drink some electrolyte drink before they do the Kambo, and also having electrolytes in the days preceding the Kambo, plenty of salt with your food, that kind of thing.
Okay.
That can help.
Right,
but I've never seen it. Like I said, I've touched wood. I've never had it where someone has had the second issue where it's because of low electrolytes.
Oh, you haven't seen that.
And I feel like if you do it Sapo style, it won't happen anyway, because the water doesn't stay in you that long. It goes in and it comes straight back up, so it's not being absorbed. It's not being absorbed into the body and diluting the electrolytes.
Okay, so most people come back once they've fainted within 20 to 30 seconds, you're saying?
Yep. Yeah. There's a couple of people I know that come regularly that do Kambo, and I know their process. And there's one guy that tends to be out for most of the session, but he's experienced with it, and that's what he does. So, he'll sort of lay down after the first minute or so, and he'll just be kind of like half asleep for the whole session.
And you basically just check that they're breathing, and basically, Okay,
as I said, in my experience, even though to the untrained eye, to someone who's never seen it before, Kambo looks really dangerous. It's actually very, very safe.
Okay. All right, cool. Thanks,
Thank
Ian. Thanks, Ian. Cool.
Cheers.
Thanks.
Thanks, mate. Right. Volker. Oops. No. Volker,
Yes, hi. Evening.
how you doing?
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you.
Good.
Glad to be in Spain and not to sit in an apartment. So I'm pretty good condition.
Cool.
Okay, first question is, how do you microdose Kambo?
How?
Yes.
So you would take just one very small point. That's
it.
That would be the microdose. So we have smaller incense sticks that you can use. You can get Japanese incense sticks that are very, very fine. So the burns are even smaller, and you take, I'd say, about 1/3 of the size of a normal Kambo point is a micro point. Okay. So it's very small, very, very small, and you do just 1 point. That would be a microdose, and you could take that once a day for as long as you want. You could do that every day for a week or a month or whatever you want. And some people like doing that, and it's, you know, you can connect with the spirit of the Kambo, but you won't get the same benefit as doing a full process.
Okay. And the one question, the other one, this Kambo Warrior 579, do you Sapo or do you still drink the water the Kambo way?
You could do it.
Now we do then the 7, then the 9.
Yeah. You could do it either way. You could do it either way.
What have you found more beneficial?
I personally, I would suggest doing it the Sapo way. I think you get the same benefit without as much suffering. So that's always what I recommend for people, unless they want to do it Kambo style. If they do, then fine. That I would always recommend to do it Sapo. It just feels more natural. Feels much more natural to do it that way, and your body tells you when it's time to drink the water.
Right. Okay, that's all I've got. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Volker.
Thanks.
All right. So if no one has any other questions, I've had some questions coming over email. Oh, somebody's raised their hand. Were you raising your hand, Wade? Or were you? Yeah. Where's Wade?
I accidentally did the thumbs up earlier instead of the hand raise, so I do apologize.
No worries.
Now, I have a few questions for
you,
John.
Go for it, man.
Let's start with the first one. So I do perform ceremonies on myself. How often can I get away with applying this medicine to my body?
There isn't really any limit. I mean, you can do it as often as you want.
Okay.
It's not harmful in any way. So some people like to do it once a week for a while. I mean, James, who's on this call, one of our practitioners, he's doing it once or twice a week at the moment. It has been for a while. I've gone through periods of doing it once a week. Other people like to do it. So they'll take a week out of the month and they'll do it 3 times that week. So rather than doing it like once a week over the course of a month, you could take 1 week out of the month and do it Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and do it 3 times in quick succession. And that's a very powerful way to do it. Whenever you take Kambo in quick succession, each session gets deeper and deeper and deeper. The guy that I trained with in Mexico, I think he did 7 or 10 days on the trot. The full, not microdosing. He did sort of 7 days on the trot of a full Kambo purge, one after another. And he said that, he felt superhuman after that. So there's no limit. I mean, like the Matsis tribe they do it Sapo, they'll just take it as and when they feel like it. They don't have as much of a ceremony around it. So whereas the Brazilian tribes who do it Kambo style, they fast, they drink all the water beforehand. With the Matsis, they don't. There's no ceremony. They just put it on when they feel like it. Sometimes they even do it after a meal. I've heard, which I wouldn't want to do, but they just use it as and when they feel like it, and they'll go on a hunt. You know, they'll take it before they go on a hunt. They'll go on a hunt, and they'll just use it as and when. So you don't. There's no real limit. And you're not doing yourself any harm. So just go with you know, as and when you feel.
Okay. So I do it in a fasted state.
Yeah.
Thank you for introducing me into the Sapo style, because so I have a tough time purging. And even when I was doing it the Kambo style, and I am drinking, you know, the 1 liter to the 2 liters of water, it is very stressful, not only consuming all that water, but then not being able to release it. So I've done it a few times in a few of my ceremonies, but I do use my fingers and I do force the purge, and I don't necessarily agree with that. So I'm wondering if it's going to make much more sense to do it Sapo and just drink it need be. But what I'm wondering is, like, I'm doing quite a few gates, and I know it's the medicine. I can feel all the effects, but I don't know why I'm not purging.
Okay. One thing I would say is using the fingers is okay. Like I do it. I wouldn't worry about that. I know some people say not to do that. I do it. We recommend people do it. There's no reason not to do it. It's like if you can feel it coming, but you feel stuck, do the fingers. Like don't worry about that.
Okay.
How many points do you do?
Well, I'm up to 7, but what I've noticed is when I'm doing it bi-weekly, like I did it 2 weeks ago. Okay, so I got up to 7 gates.
Yeah.
I was doing it weekly. I wasn't feeling the effects. I even waited a 2-week period, and even the 7 gates was very, very weak, very weak. I don't mind pushing the gates and doing more dots, but it's just, that's why I was wondering about how often does it make sense for me to stretch those windows so that I am feeling the full effect of something.
Yeah, well, it could be a few things. One is the Kambo might be weak. It's possible.
Okay.
It might be. I mean, I don't know. You know, it might. You might have a Kambo that's like if it gets wet. If it gets too wet too many times, it can lose strength. It can be, and also when you're doing it quite often, you do build up a tolerance to it. So it may be that 7 points isn't enough for you. I know when I was doing it weekly, I went from 7 to 9 to 10 to 11 to 12. And you know, if I'm doing it Kambo style, I tend to need more. So if I was doing it Kambo style, I usually need over 10. But with Sapo, I can get away with 7 or 8.
Okay.
And when you put it on, you feel it stinging, right? It's definitely working.
Oh, absolutely. Within 20, 30 seconds. I don't think there's anything wrong with the medicine, but that goes to my next question, John. So when I'm applying the spit and I'm getting it wet, so what I've noticed is when I've created the dots and I've let them sit for too long, it's very tough to get them on the stick and then get them sticking to my skin. But what I'm wondering is, are they too, how to put this? Are they not concentrated enough? It's like when I get the dots, is there too much moisture or water in it by the time I apply it to my skin and have watered it down?
No. If anything, like the more wet they are, the better. The easier they are to manipulate and to put on, and you want them to stay wet. So when they're on, every 10 minutes you can wet them down with the spray. So it's definitely not that. I think. Also, are you taking the points all at once, or are you putting them on gradually?
No, I'll apply them. I get them all lined up and I put them on, one by one, right after one another.
Yeah, I mean,
you'll see the agitation. You'll see the redness all around, you know, my gates as soon as I put it on, as soon as I wipe them off.
Yeah.
But what I'm wondering is, it must be my tolerance. If I wait 2-3 months, which I am now, if I started with 5 or 7 gates, it's going to be strong.
Okay, then it's tolerance then. So you need to do more.
Okay.
When you're doing it consecutively like that, you need to up your dose, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, you do build tolerance. So I would say, like, if you've been doing 7, then up it to what I found when I was doing it weekly, I found that I needed to increase the dose to a certain point, and then you hit a ceiling, and then that dose is fine. So for me, it went 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then I would stay at 12. Nobody really should need more than 12. I think, 12, you could do more than 12, but I think if you so say you were doing 7, next time try 9. And then if you're going to do it the week after or the 2 weeks after, do 10 and increase the dose, I think.
Okay. And then my last and final question would just be, when it comes to the gates or the size of the burn, I'm going to do it like, should I do like bigger dots of medicine and fewer gates, more gates, smaller dots?
I don't think it makes any difference. I think ultimately, if you would, it's like the total amount of Kambo will be the thing that matters more than the size of the gates. So doing like smaller gates and making more of them and putting the same amount of Kambo on, or making like only 3 gates but making them great big ones and putting the same amount of Kambo on. I couldn't tell you exactly because I've never like tested it that way, but I'm almost certain it will be the same, that you'll have the same effect. But when the tribes that do the Sapo style, they make much bigger burns. So Kambo style is small burns, lots of points. And with the Sapo, they make really big burns and they only do 4 points. But when we do it, because obviously we don't want to leave people with nasty scars, we still make the small points anyway, because it just looks nicer. When you've got great big burns, which I've done it before with someone, and I've got massive burns on my forearm and they don't look very nice. So yeah, it doesn't really matter. What matters is the total amount of Kambo that goes on. And also another thing that I found is that the Kambo, it sort of works by osmosis in that it's like a little sponge when you put it on. It's not only the bit that's touching your skin that's going in. Like if you put a small point on that only covers the surface area of the burn, and if you were to put a much, much bigger point on over the top that goes over the surface area of the burn, the bigger point will be stronger. So, and I know that because I've tested it. So if you do really big, like if you make small burns, but you put massive lumps of Kambo on, it's going to be much stronger than if you put small amounts of Kambo on. So it's almost like you're putting it on your skin. It's like a sponge, and the peptides kind of will soak through regardless of the surface area of the burn.
Thank you kindly for your time. This has been a very nice experience. It was very nice to see all of us come together and enjoy that meditation. So just thank you. This has been an absolute privilege.
Thank you, Wade. Thank you. Okay, Arno's got a question, but Trish has asked a question in the chat, which I missed. I'm going to go back to it now. Will microdose affect tolerance? I'm currently on 10 points and have Kambo monthly at present. Yes, it will. In my experience, when I microdosed, and then I think I did 7, it was a few years ago now, but I did 7 or 10 days on the trot. When I came to do a full purge, after that, I needed to use a lot more. So yes, it will affect tolerance. Anybody else has a question? No. Okay. Arno, I've unmuted you.
Okay, you can hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, first of all, to everybody for this. I'm in Ibiza and there's a big lockup in Spain and I'm alone. So this is really a privilege to have here everybody. So really appreciate it. The thing is, because I'm alone, I wasn't doing any Kambo for just a little bit of worries. And last Sunday, I did myself a ceremony and I decided to do it. And I did it by myself. I did 7 dots. And I really had a good ceremony. I felt after it that I maybe could have 1 or 2 dots more. But because I'm alone, I wanted to ask you, should I stick better to the 7 while I'm alone? Or would it be responsible to maybe put 1 or 2 dots more?
I would have it. It really boils down to your own experience. Like I know when I do it, I've done it enough times now that I'm like I'm not worried at all that anything would happen because I know I'm not going to pass out, and I always when I do Kambo, I don't sit back. I'm on all fours. I'm leaning over the bucket or I'm laying on my front. So I know that if anything was to happen, I'm in a safe position where if I was to faint and I vomit, I'm not going to choke. So,
Okay.
I mean, how many times have you done it now?
When I was with you, we applied 3 times.
Yeah.
And then I did a 4th time when I was still with Andrea, but now because I was alone, so I did it 1 more time.
Yeah.
And I know when I was with you, I did the 8 dots, and it gone really deep.
Yeah.
But that was my worries when I was alone. But now that you told me maybe the position, because I do the same position as you told me, so if anything would happen, I would be in a position that wouldn't be a problem, I suppose.
Yeah, I think especially if you've just done a 7, if you wanted to do another one soon, I would say definitely do more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I thought about that, but I just wanted to make sure if it's the position, if that's the only thing that can happen, that if you would be looking up, and then it would be a problem. But that's not the point. I'm in front.
I think it boils down to like your own confidence in your own feeling of how you feel about it. If you're worried, then don't, because you can always apply more. You can always do it. You can always. You don't have to do it all at once. You know, you could do it like you could start with 3 and then do 6. So you could do like the opening the channel thing, where you do a small amount and then a larger amount, or you could do it gradual. But I think you'll be fine. Yeah, I would.
Okay. Yes, I did 7. I was really okay. There was a worry before I started, because I had this. Because when you're alone, it's different, right? You don't have anybody there to lean on, or so. But it really worked out good. I was even very happy that I did it at the end. That I decided to do it. So that was my question. Like if I could put 1 more dot or 2 dots, I thought I have the confidence to do it, but I just wanted to make sure. So that was it. And to thank everybody for this meeting, because it means a lot when you're alone, locked up.
Yeah, nice one, man. Thank you, Arno. Michael. Oh, just before I speak to Michael, Chris, just going to read these. Chris said he's been raising his hand, but we can't see it. Can we have the practitioner training online, just the theory, and then do the practical training when the lockdown ends? Secondly, when will you have supplies of Kambo? Good question. I'd suggest, Chris, drop us an email about that in regards to the training. Because we've got all the documentation, all the course material, so that's possibly something we could do. We could figure something out there. So drop me an email and we can discuss that. And at the moment, with regards to supplies of Kambo, our guy in Kambo, who we get it, in Peru, where we get it from, he's in lockdown and they can't post anything. So we're kind of stuck in that I don't know. As soon as the lockdown's lifted in Peru, then he'll send us the Kambo. But I can't tell you exactly when, unfortunately, Chris. So, but as soon as we get it back in stock, we'll make an announcement so that we'll let you know. Michael.
Hi. Cool. So two more questions.
Yeah.
The first thing is about the tolerance. How long does the tolerance last for between sessions?
I couldn't give you an exact answer. It's like I haven't sort of done my own like scientific testing of like seeing what it's like after 1 week and then 2 weeks and I just haven't done that. So I couldn't tell you, but I would reckon, if I was to just guess, I would say that a month. If you've done it and then you're going to do it again within a month, I think there will be some form of tolerance. The quicker it is, so if you did it one day and then you're going to do it again the next day, the tolerance is going to be very, very high.
Okay.
But if you did it once and then you did it a week later, the tolerance will be a bit less, and then it will gradually dissipate over time.
Okay.
But it's not an exact science, because some people might find that they actually don't build up a tolerance it's do you know what I mean? It's like it's unpredictable in that way. But I think most people do, and always taking a little bit more. Once somebody knows that the Kambo's safe again, then erring on the side of a little bit more is okay, I think.
Okay.
That's what I do with me. Like once I know, like, you know, obviously myself, I can take loads of Kambo, then I'd always rather take a bit extra to make sure that I get through the process without having to apply more in the middle of it, especially if I'm on my own. There's nothing worse than getting to the middle of the process and then realizing it's not enough and you need to start putting more on while you're in the process. That's really
sure.
horrible. I'd rather take if I think, do I want to do 7? Do I want to do 9? I take 9 because I'd rather take 9 and get it done than take 7 and then get to half an hour in and it's not come and I need to put more on.
Okay. All right. And my other question is regarding the dots. Do you apply dots over your dots, or do you just keep making dots in new parts of your body?
I keep making new ones.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
they need to heal properly before you do it again. I mean, you can. It's going to work, but if you've already got a scar and then you burn a scar again, you're going to end up with really horrible scarring. So it depends on the person's skin, but I would say, like, if they've healed up really nicely and you can barely see them, then yeah, you can do it. But like the ones I've got on my arm, I mean, some of the ones, the older ones are sort of faded. So I guess, yeah, I would do those. I could go over those again. But
Okay.
these other ones I've got that are still dark, I wouldn't go over them again. I just make more.
Okay, cool. All right. No, sorry about that. Okay, thanks.
Cool. Volker, I'll unmute you. No, it's not working. Hang on. Unmute. I can't unmute you for some reason. Can you unmute yourself, Volker? See if that works.
Internet. Okay.
There we
Can
go.
you hear me now?
Yeah.
Sorry, I've got a bad internet. Okay. My question is, if you do the microdosing,
Yeah.
and you build up a tolerance, is the aim of Kambo always to purge? I mean, if you're doing the microdosing, you're not going to purge. So why is it necessary when you if you built up a tolerance and then you do 5 or 7 dots that you must purge? What does it mean to build up a tolerance? Just that you don't purge, or what's the story?
No, it just means that the Kambo won't have as strong an effect. So you probably that's the issue would be that you wouldn't purge. So Kambo is still beneficial if you don't purge. But I know when I do it, I want to purge because I don't feel complete when I don't purge. When I don't clear the bile, afterwards, I don't get that wonderful feeling of just clarity, like that, clear feeling. If I don't get bile, I don't get that feeling. So I'm not saying it hasn't done me any good. I'm not saying there's no benefit, but I like the feeling of that, the complete clearing. But when the Peruvian tribes do it sapo, for them, they're not so concerned with the purge. If you purge, you purge. If you don't, you don't. That's kind of the way that they do it. But they're doing Kambo for, like, different tribes will do it for different reasons. For the Matsis, they're hunter-gatherers. So when they take Kambo, they're doing it for the hunt. They want the physical and mental enhancements that you get from Kambo, that maybe the purge for them doesn't really matter as much. Whereas when the Brazilian tribes do it Kambo style, when they drink all the water before, they're doing it for a purge. I read a good article by Peter Gorman, who's brought Kambo over in the 80s, and he's a Sapo guy. He spent a lot of time with the Matsis. And he said his theory is that the Brazilian tribes, they're more fishermen and farmers. And when they do Kambo, they're doing it that way because they're trying to clear the stomach because of what they're doing. And that they might, for example, if they're eating fish, that they've, like they want to make sure they haven't got parasites and all of these things. So then they do it Kambo style to really clear the stomach. Whereas the Matsis, they're taking it for a different reason. They're taking it as a hunting medicine. And for them, the purge isn't as important as it is the physical and mental enhancements. So like I said, with them, they don't really make a ceremony around it. They just slap it on as and when. And sometimes I've heard they do it after a meal, which just sounds awful, but apparently they do.
Okay, so if I try now for say 7 days to do the microdosing, what do you actually get out of it? I mean, is it a spiritual thing? Is it just mental clarity, or what happens?
What was my experience when I did microdosing? So yes, anytime you put Kambo on yourself, there is a spiritual thing going on. Like, it's a nice thing to do. You can meditate with it. You can put the point on and sit and meditate. And it's especially if you do it, like, obviously you're not doing it with drinking all that water. So you're kind of doing it Sapo style anyway. So yes, there's definitely a meditative, spiritual aspect to it. But also what I found was when you take Kambo, you need less sleep and you need less food. So I found I was less hungry by doing microdosing, which may or may not be a good thing. I mean, it depends what what reason you're taking it. But Kambo is, like the Matsis use it as a hunting medicine, and when they take Kambo, they'll do Kambo, then they'll go and hunt, and they'll walk for 3 days in the jungle with no food. So yeah, there's that aspect to it, but it definitely won't do the same thing as, nowhere near the full shebang.
Okay. And you only do it once a day when you microdose? If you meditate twice, you can microdose twice a day, or
you could. There's no rules. There's no rules. Any rules are made up. So you could do it.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? It's like you just there's no official guidelines, because this is just done by tribes people, so it's not written anywhere really. It's, yes, you could do it twice a day. Totally, you could do it 3 times a day, microdose. Why not? I mean, it's not dangerous or anything like that. But as with a lot of things with Kambo, is there are no official rules with it, because it's not a pharmaceutical that's been tested. So it's a bit of a grey area for a lot of stuff.
And one more question.
Yeah.
The hape before or after the microdose?
Up to you. I'm trying to think if I was going to do it. Well, how would I do it? I would probably say before. I'd say do the rapé first. Yeah, do the rapé first, then put the Kambo on. Try both.
Yeah. So the Kambo must stay on during the meditation then, yeah?
Yes. Well, again, no rules. But that's when I have done a microdose.
Whatever feels the best.
Yeah, when I've done a microdose, it does feel nice to just sit in the Kambo, just sit in the medicine and feel it. And it actually lasts quite a long time. It was like half an hour of feeling it. I got at least half an hour.
And on an empty.
Yes. So if you do a microdose with a full stomach, you probably won't even feel it. That's what I've noticed. Whenever you take Kambo on an empty stomach, it's always stronger. So if I was to eat a meal, or I've got a full stomach and I stick a microdose on, like a tiny point, you probably won't even feel it.
Okay. Right.
So I think first thing in the morning on an empty stomach, it would be a good time to do it.
Thank you.
No worries. Thank you. Right. Some questions in the chat. Chris, I've been using rapé for a while, but I'm still unsure when to blow it out. Is it safe? I breathe some into the airways. Yeah, rapé is safe. It's fine. So by blow it out, I assume you mean blow your nose after. I think 10 to 15 minutes. 15 minutes is a good amount of time to leave the rapé in before you blow it out. And by breathe some into the airways, do you mean if it goes into your throat, or it will never go into your lungs? It's not like a gas, it's a powder, so it's going to stick to the membranes. It's not going to go into the lungs. So I don't think you've got no worries there. Rapé is very safe. And Bev, just answered. to be my concern. And Wade, thank you for this experience. Great, thanks, Wade. Okay, I mean, we've been going for sort of 90 minutes, so I think we can probably wrap up now. I hope you all enjoyed this meditation and Q&A session. Something else I'd like to tell you about. At the moment, what we're doing, we are giving away free rapé sample and a little, we call them tomahawk self-applicator pipe for blowing your own rapé. I will post the link now in the chat. There it is, if you can all see that. You can go there and you can get a free sample of rapé and a free pipe to blow it for yourself. All we ask is that you pay the postage. That's it. So what I would suggest is we're going to do another one of these next week. If you haven't got rapé and you'd like to have some to try it for next session, for the meditation, then order it and I'll get it sent out ASAP, probably tomorrow, and then you'll have it for next week. What else? Is there any other announcements? Oh, okay. So some ideas for other services and things that we can offer. Some ideas that we had, and I'll read them out. And if anybody wants to let me know what you think of them, one would be a tension and trauma release exercise class that we could do live on the webinar. That's one idea. Another idea would be a cacao ceremony, where we could sell individual doses of cacao that you could buy through the website. And then we could do a webinar, which will be a cacao ceremony where we all take cacao at home. And then we have a group session with the cacao. That's another idea. We could do the rapé meditation. Obviously we did that today, but there's other meditations we can do. And the last idea was private one-to-one Kambo sessions, whether people would still want to have those. Obviously we can't do the group ceremonies at the moment because of what's going on, but one-to-one sessions where a practitioner would come to your home, that's something that maybe could be feasible. I don't know. So yeah, if anybody wants to comment or anything on those. Nigel, I'm going to unmute you. Nigel?
Hiya, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, just one quick question. When you see the Kambo ceremony being done in the jungle and what have you, they always pour water over people's heads. Now, I presume this used to stop people overheating and fitting. So,
where did you see
when
that?
you do your sessions, do you do anything like that? Do you spray them, use a wet towel or whatever to keep people a little bit cooler?
We have sprays that I mean, I've never seen that where they pour water over their head, but I guess like people get hot and cold on Kambo. Sometimes they go really shivery. Again, it's like a fever. We have water sprays. So we've got the sprays that we use when we're applying the medicine. So sometimes we can go over and then just spray the water around the person's face to cool them down.
Okay, that's
but
great.
What I would say is what I see more often is people get very cold afterwards. That's usually more of an issue, and then we can wrap them up in a blanket. And the studio where we do the Kambo at the moment, it's actually a hot yoga studio. So they've got halogen lights, heaters all around. So we switch them on, and then the heat is coming directly from that person, for that person.
Great, thanks. One more thing
is
I don't think any of us guys on the webinar can see the link for the rapé.
Oh, let me try it again. There, can you see it now?
Yeah, got it.
Got it, yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
James has just said, John, the water thing is the jungle antidote to Kambo. It's mentioned by Bia of Chakruna. It's why they do it near or in rivers. Okay, I didn't know that. So thank you, James.
I didn't catch that bit.
Oh no, I'm just reading what James said in the chat. He said the water is the jungle antidote to Kambo. It's mentioned by Bia of Chakruna, and it's why they do it near or in rivers. And I have seen that in videos where they do it near a river, and then they go and jump in the river.
By antidote, do they mean to bring you out of it?
I think, yeah, that would be, I guess, to bring you out of it. But yeah, I mean, when we're doing it in a yoga studio, it's not really possible to
No.
people in water. But I'd say, yeah, it's usually the other thing. It's that people start shivering as they're coming out of it, they get really, really cold. And then we wrap them up in blankets and we switch the heaters on.
Thank you.
Cool.
Great webinar tonight.
Thanks, Nigel. Good to have you. So yeah, there will be another one. We'll do another one next week, next Wednesday. We'll send out an email about it, exactly what it's going to be. I haven't decided what the structure will be, but maybe it will be something similar where we do the rapé meditation, or maybe it'll be something else. But we've got a few ideas. And if any of you guys do have any ideas that afterwards you suddenly think of an idea that you think is something we could do for you, then please send us an email. Volker, have you just put your hand up? Hang on, Volker?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, Sanaka.
Yeah.
Kambo. How'd go?
Sorry, say that.
Don't get out of my eye, I tell you. I've did it a few times and it's pretty bearable. So how do you put it in relation to maybe microdosing and so on?
Did you
I
say,
see you selling Sanga also?
Yeah.
So,
did you say it's unbearable?
I've done it a couple of times. I bought some.
Yeah.
And it's pretty.
All right, I'll give you a tip.
I'm gonna come up through the wall, you know.
Yeah, I'll give you a tip.
Yeah.
The way to do Sananga is you have to let it in. You have to relax and allow the stinging in. And if you do, and you breathe and you relax, then it actually becomes very pleasurable, and you go on a little journey with it. If you fight it, it's painful. That's what I know, because I've been through it. But if you just relax and breathe and let the stinging in, then it can actually be very blissful.
Okay, so in relation to like saying it on a daily basis, together with the microdosing and hape. So hape first, then Sananga, and then the microdose, or no rules?
Up to you. I mean, if I'm trying to think, what would I do if I was going to do it? I personally would probably do the Sananga first, then I'd do the rapé, then I'd do the Kambo.
From the to the best.
And I'd probably do rapé before and after Kambo.
So Sananga, rapé, Kambo.
I'd do. What did I say? Did I say rapé, Sananga, Kambo, rapé? Yeah.
I like this. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks. I had a strong and very, and this was really murder. I don't know, very strong is super strong, whatever they call it.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's just breathing, you say. Just
breathe,
take it in and enjoy.
Breathe and relax and let it in. Don't push it. Don't fight it. Allow it in and just breathe through it, and then it becomes really pleasant.
God damn. Okay. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, Volker.
All right.
Okay, so, oh yeah, one other last thing just before we go. If you guys, if you're going to come along next week, if you could invite someone that you know to join the webinars, if everybody invites one person, that would be really cool. We'd really appreciate that. So these webinars will be free, so there's no reason not to. Just suggest it to some of your friends, and the more people we can get on, the more the merrier. All right, so great. Thank you all very much, everybody. It was an absolute pleasure to sit with you all. Thank you for all of your comments and questions and suggestions. And yeah, we'll send out information about next week and what we're going to do on next week's webinar. So thank you all very much. Aho.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.